That's perfectly fine. I appreciate that's well worth. That's well worth.
Reduce it by half.
Yeah. Do that.
And then Councilor Minor is online.
He's on. All right. All right. We're going to call the order the Wood Village City Council meeting, April 14th. I'll go ahead and read the land acknowledgement. The Chinookan people known as the Clackamas and Cascade are the indigenous people of the land now inhabited by the city of Wood Village and other area of the Columbia River. The village of Nechocli was located near today's Blue Lake Park. Ancestral life of these people included a seasonal round of resource gatherers and stewardships from the Wapato fields and the fishing areas of the Clackamas River to the cedar and huckleberry gathering areas of the High Cascades. Introduced disease from early settlers drastically reduced the number of these people. They signed the Willamette Valley Treaty of 1855 with the United States government and were forcibly removed to the Grand Ronde Indian Reservation. We thank the descendants of these tribes for being the original steward and protectors of these lands since time immemorial. We also acknowledge the systematic policies and genocide, relocation, and assimilation that still impacts many indigenous Native American families today. We are honored by the collective work of many Native nations, leaders, and family who demonstrate resilience, resistance, revitalization, healing, and creativity. We are honored to be guests upon the land. Please stand for me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, the republic for which it stands,
One nation, under God,
indivisible, with Thank you. All right. Tonight we do have 3 proclamations we will be reading, and we'll go ahead and start with Councilor Gardner, if you wouldn't mind.
Proclamation April 2026 to be Parkinson Awareness Month. Whereas Parkinson's disease is a chronic progressive neurological disease, and it is the second most common neurodegenerative disease in the U.S. And whereas the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's Research is dedicated to finding a cure for Parkinson's disease through an aggressively funded research agenda and ensuring the development and improved therapies for those living with Parkinson's today. And whereas the estimated more than 1 million people in the U.S. are currently living with Parkinson's disease, with an additional 90,000 individuals diagnosed annually. And whereas it is estimated that Parkinson's disease has a national economic burden of approximately $52 billion per year, with that cost estimated to rise over $80 billion by 2037. And whereas there is no known cure for Parkinson's disease and available treatments are limited in their ability to address patients' medical needs and remain effective over time. And whereas the City of Wood Village recognizes the efforts of the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's Research as it leverages its core values of optimism, urgency, resourcefulness, collaboration, accountability, and persistence in problem solving to work on behalf of more than 6 million people worldwide living with Parkinson's. And whereas increased research, education, and community support services are needed to find more effective treatments and to provide access to quality care to those living with the disease today.
We'll go ahead and Councilor Smith.
Proclamation April 12th through 18th, 2026 to be National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. Whereas emergencies that require police, fire, or emergency medical services can occur at any time, and whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property. And whereas the safety of our police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who contact the Portland Bureau of Emergency Communication, BOEC Center. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the first and most critical contact our citizens have with emergency services. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the single vital link for our police officers, firefighters, and paramedics by monitoring their activities by radio, providing them information, and ensuring their safety. And whereas public safety telecommunicators of the BOEC have contributed substantially to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of patients. And whereas each dispatcher has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their job in the past year.
Then we have one more. Proclamating April 30th as Vietnamese Americans Remembrance Day. Whereas Vietnamese refugees have proudly resided in the city of Wood Village, state of Oregon, since the conclusion of the Vietnam War on April 30th, 1975. And whereas Vietnamese Americans have put forth their full toiler energy building the city of Wood Village, state of Oregon, in the multitude and prominent areas, including industrial, economy, cultural, education, and military service. And whereas Vietnamese Americans have counted on the state of Oregon, U.S. as being their secondary heart, mind, and family homeland. And whereas every year Vietnamese Americans observe Remembrance Day on April 30th to solemnly honor the 58,000 American soldiers and more than 300,000 South Vietnamese soldiers who sacrificed their lives in the line of duty for freedom and democracy in South Vietnam from 1955 to 1975. Now, therefore, I, Jairo Rios Campos, the mayor of the Wood Village, hereby proclaim April 30th, 2026 to recognize as April 30th, the Vietnamese American Remembrance Day. Today, we do have a few groups in the audience. I just wanted to go ahead and read these out before we invite them up and say a few words. And so we'll start with the folks with the Parkinson. If you guys want to come up, say a few words.
I got to get the right speech ready, but you're going to do the public thing first. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. For the record, my name is Kevin Mansfield, and I live at 16343 Northeast Russell Street, Portland, Oregon, 97230. I was diagnosed with Parkinson's in 2001. I've been a public policy ambassador with Michael J. Fox Foundation for the last 14 years. I've been a facilitator with Parkinson's Resources of Oregon for the last 25 years. We thank you, Mayor and City Council, for proclaiming Wood Village, or for proclaiming April is Parkinson's Awareness Month. This means a lot to the people living here in Wood Village and our Gresham support group. Parkinson's is the second largest neurological disease. It is predicted to become #1 very soon. Just to give you a little idea of how fast it is growing, when I was diagnosed in 2001, there was about 14 to 16 support groups in Oregon and Southwest Washington. Today, 25 years later, we now have over 60 support groups. Just here in our group, the last 2 years have doubled in size. Parkinson's used to be heard of people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. Today, I have heard personally of people as young as 7 years old. They are predicting that within the next 15 years, Parkinson's will double in numbers. There is an estimated number of 1.2 million people diagnosed with Parkinson's in the US every year. When I put in for the proclamation request, it was estimated that the economic burden for Parkinson's was $52 billion that you have in the proclamation. Today, I have handed out a new report that reveals now that the economic burden of Parkinson's is $82.2 billion in the US. Of the $82.2 billion total, $23.8 billion is attributed to direct medical costs, including hospitalization, outpatient care, and medications. $58.4 billion reflects indirect and non-medical costs, including loss of income, reduced workplace productivity, and unpaid caregiving. Thank you for the proclamation and your support with the Parkinson's community and listening to us tonight.
Thank you. With that, we do have this signed by myself tonight, and I'd like to present that to you today. And then I also believe we have some folks from our Vietnamese American Remembrance Day proclamation.
Thank you so much. Good evening, Mayor Rios Chambers and the distinguished councilors. My name is Thao Tu. I am honored to serve as the president of the Vietnamese community of Oregon. On behalf of my board, thank you so much for the proclamation in recognition of the Vietnamese American Remembrance Day, the April 30. For my community, this affirms that our heredity is honor, our next generation identities have been honored, and also for your proclamation reaches beyond the story, beyond the document, and also beyond the ceremony. It's honor the people cross the oceans, and also especially your proclamation will honor the U.S. and South Vietnamese soldiers who sacrificed their life for freedom and democracy in South Vietnam from 1955 to 1975. From the bottom of our hearts, one more time, thank you so much for the proclamations this year. And we also have the thank you certificate to present the mayor and the council members.
Awesome. Well, once again, we do appreciate and acknowledge, these proclamations as an important piece to our community out here. And we continue to lend our support to all your guys' efforts and advocacy in the same way. So thank you again. All right, we'll go ahead and move to citizen comments on non-agenda items.
Sorry, I get to see my lovely face again. Sorry, give me a second here to get organized. Okay. Good evening, Mayor Hiro and City Council. Tonight, we would like to share our appreciation with you, Mayor and City Council. You have been very generous with us and have let us meet here for 2 years as a Gresham Parkinson Support Group. When we first started coming here, we had an average of 12 people coming here on a regular basis. But now for the last 2 months, including today, we have grown to 24 people in our group. This is just a small example of the growth of Parkinson's. Tonight, I come to you as a representative of Parkinson's Resources of Oregon, a facilitator of the Gresham Support Group. I have with me tonight one of our members of our support group, Ed, with us. We want to present this appreciation award to you, Mayor Hiro, and the City Council. It has been signed by all of the Parkinson's of Resources staff and all of the people that attended our support group last month. I also have included a laminated copy for all of the City Council to take a copy home for yourselves, if you would like. Thank you for your time tonight. Proclamation will read, or the award will read, in appreciation, certificate awarded on behalf of the members of the Gresham Support Group to the Mayor Hiro Rios Campos, I hope I pronounced that right, if not, I'm sorry, and the City Council of Wood Village on this day, April 14th, 2026, in appreciation for declaring April as Parkinson's Awareness Month for the City of Wood Village, for your kind and generous help in letting us use the Wood Village City Council in our time of need. We thank you for your excellent consideration and for helping people with Parkinson's.
While he's doing that, I would like to say, as a member of that, thank you. A lot of times as leaders of government, you hear a lot of the negative, and I don't think you get to know the impact sometimes that you do that's good. And you really were a benefit, especially when this group needed it and a place to land. And thank you so much. We really appreciated it. And your group, your folks here, I worked in government for a long time, worked for Clackamas County and Multnomah County until I had to retire. And coming in here, your folks helped us set up, were kind, great customer service to the public. So you're doing something really good here. So thank you.
Thank you all for those kind words, and we appreciate the acknowledgement of staff. I know they work really hard to ensure folks coming in here feel at home, and if they aren't able to help out, connect them to who can. So we appreciate you all, and thank you guys for this as well. Thank you.
Yeah.
We did have one other citizen comment that was relayed via phone this morning. Long-term community member. We know who they are. They didn't want to leave their name. It's fine. Just concerned around, again, the discussions of fire, public safety, potential levy, increasing in those costs, and just wanted to make sure that, the city focuses on public safety. That should be a priority. We had a very nice conversation around, yes, that is a focus, and, did some of the education that we've done with the former community open houses and workshops around, even if we cut all park maintenance, all the events, various things, it doesn't make up the difference that we're seeing now. And we're trying to be very diligent and thoughtful in how we're approaching a potential levy ask, what that service is, and trying to enhance services with those dollars. We also mentioned how all the neighboring cities either have a levy, fees, or in some cases both. And, so it's not just Wood Village, it's catching up to everybody. But they just wanted to communicate that to you all that, they have concerns about it. And we just reassured them that, yet we're still having all these conversations. There's no levy for this May, obviously, most likely in the future, and we'll keep them informed as well as all community members on that process.
Thank you. And yeah, as we're having these conversations, as much as we can invite the community to let us know how they feel and their thoughts in this whole process, I think is really what we've always wanted from day one. And so it's great to see that it is kind of happening and either ease their concerns or, just have further conversation with them. So thank you for that. All right, we'll go ahead and move to public safety report.
Right, good evening. I haven't seen you guys for a couple months this month, but back now. So tonight's public safety brief will be on February and March, or for February and March. So both months were pretty good overall, as if you don't like crime. So they were quiet. February, we had 12 traffic accidents, all very minor, no injuries reported. And then deputies responded to 109 calls for service and then made 161 self-initiated contacts. Also, very end of the month, we had 2 separate missions. The first one was kind of a enhanced patrol detail, which was in Wood Village and then also Maywood Park. So during that time, there were 2 deputies that basically worked the detail and just kind of hit some of the problem areas around. During the day on the 27th of February, they made 13 traffic stops, 5 community contacts, led to 1 arrest. They towed a vehicle and they made 5 extra patrols. And then the next day, actually, we had a DUI enforcement mission with state police and also Gresham, which focused mainly on I-84, but obviously in and out of Wood Village for most of the night. But during that night, they made 166 traffic stops. They wrote 94 citations. Let's see. They arrested 26 people, 11 for DUI, and then also recovered 2 firearms. And that was all between state police, Multnomah County and Gresham. So it was a DUI mission to honor 2 reserve deputies that were killed on 84 years ago. So you see that sign is actually out in Wood Village, I believe. That's the Wood Village exit, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just west of exit 16, and it was prior to the interstate remodel, like in 98, 99.
So this is the 2nd year in a row they've done that. Just kind of a cool thing. Definitely big help with state police also. So they make a lot of stops. And then March, same thing, 3 more days. So it was a little bit busier, but for 127 calls for service, 205 self-initiated contacts, and that included 111 traffic stops. There were kind of higher on the traffic accidents. There were 16 reported, but 1 was a minor injury. But then I kind of looked through them. There were a couple on the interstate, and then there were, I think, 8 hit and runs, and a majority, I think 5 of them were in parking lots or old, like my car got hit sometime in the last month. I think it was at Walmart, but I don't know type thing. So I don't think the increase was really due to anything, just kind of, it happens, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all we got for you.
Any questions by council? Questions, comments?
I have a question.
Sure.
We have a neighbor, and my other neighbors are concerned. They have a son. Well, the woman has a son. It's the man's stepson, and he wants nothing to do with it, who is a drug addict. and he lives just about across the street from me. The neighbors that live right next door to him are concerned because they have a lot of stuff. And he was arrested once, and he's got warrants out for his arrest now. But when the sheriff or deputy goes there, the mom says he's not here, but he is there. And you can see him walking in the park sometime, and I'm sure he's dealing drugs somewhere. There's a white Suburban that comes to their house in the middle of the night, and there's a drug addict female that, comes out of it and occasionally uses the bathroom or shower or whatever at that house. But the mom doesn't want to help in any of this. Since he has warrants outstanding, can we not get a search warrant to go in that house?
Typically not in Oregon. It's not like a active crime or something that's like an exigent circumstance. We're typically not gonna get a lot of resources for something like that. I don't know what the warrant's for. I assume it's probably minor, or else, they would set up some.
I don't know.
type of way to get in there.
Just, low level drug dealer.
So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of, I assume he'll probably have police contact at some point and get picked up for it. But then again, they'll probably just give him a new court date and he'll be right back. So it's not like a big fix.
It's just people are concerned about their property,
Okay.
and the things they have. And
Yeah.
these drug addicts will steal anything to sell it to get money.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, if there's anything, going on in the moment, call 911, let them know. And we can talk about it offline too.
Yeah.
At some point if you'd like.
Okay.
Other questions, comments?
I just have two quick things. One, I believe we mentioned it at our last council meeting, how we did send a letter to the county advocating for the sheriff's office and not reducing funding, again, specifically HOPE team, special teams, and then, their jail system, which we understand, imperfect world, incarceration is not always the right measure, and it's also part of the larger whole that all pieces need to work together. And the chair's budget comes out this week on the 16th, and so that'll give us a look into what she is proposing. And then there's a couple of weeks where you can still make larger adjustments before it goes through its formal process at the county. So just again, we did the letter, we're paying attention to it. We'll find out more this week. And then secondly, we met this afternoon with Sheriff's Office leadership looking at a longer term contract. Again, when I say longer term, it's not because, we just for a long time, we've been year to year and it's worked. And with a kind of neighboring cities and their conversations and our conversations at retreat, like locking in a long-term signaling, this is our public safety partner, we think is mutually beneficial both for the county, for us. And so we were having those conversations. I think we're going to target a new contract effective July 1, 2027. We'll work on it kind of this summer, fall time, so it's all set. So when we do our budgets, we'll all know what to expect. But very positive, I think, all around. So our chief was in the call, so we are having those conversations, and it seems to be going well.
Yeah. We definitely appreciate your guys' support. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that was something I was going to mention that, yes, we understand that the county budget will be released on Thursday. And so we, as we've done before, we're more than happy to do some more letters of support. I know that was more on my behalf, but we can talk to the council, do maybe a council letter of support, and continue to advocate for the great partnership we have with the sheriff's office. So thank you again.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thanks, guys. See ya.
We'll go ahead and review bills paid. Any questions on what's on the agenda or in the staff report? There are no questions. I'm entertain a motion. Not the bills. All right. We'll go ahead and move the consent calendar.
Easter was a lovely day.
Yes, it was a great event. A lot of people out and about, and I was pleased to see all of our partners here. The fire department sticking around and helping out in the activity area and engaging with our community. So I think that was a nice little treat. I don't think we've seen them as engaged for Easter as we've seen them for other events. So that was a
Yeah,
good.
Caroline did not only a wonderful job getting all the different organizations, but I don't know how she got fire to do what they did. Not sure I want to know. I need full deniability. But yeah, Caroline did a great job. And then also Erica and her team having the utility workers there to
Yes.
help, set up parking control, couple little issues that happen. I mean, people just kind of end up parking kind of where they park sometimes, but even that got resolved. But yeah, it was just nice to have like the team, engaging at the event, counselors who attended and helped out. I didn't hear anything but positive from community members.
I have to say that having staff out there as traffic control helped out a lot. It was an easier process as both a participant and a vendor. So it helped out really well. So now I'll entertain a motion for the consent calendar.
I move to approve the consent calendar.
A second.
First and second, any further questions, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Counselor Minor, I totally forgot you were out there. Appreciate you letting me know that you're still there. All right, we'll go ahead and move to resolution 4-2026 building fee update.
Hey, good evening, Mayor and councilors. Normally Seth does this, but he's trying to wrap up budget for next week, so.
Yeah.
Yes, there we go. Okay, so this is our annual building fee update, which is kind of a lengthy process. So the last update, the fees were effective September 1st, 2025. Ideally, we like to try to target July 1st because that's when Gresham's fee increase goes into effect. So the last increase for the building fees go through a resolution first and then a review by our building official, and then they get submitted to the building codes division for a 45-day review period. Once that's complete, we hold a public hearing and then we pass an ordinance. So the last ordinance passed was actually July 22nd, and ordinances take minimum of 30 days to go into effect. So that's why the fees weren't effective until September. So the increases, as I mentioned, we try to keep our rates somewhat in line with Gresham's, except for some of the mechanical, electrical permit on the residential side. We keep lower minimums for our residential customers on that. The main reason why we try to keep our fees in line with Gresham is the permit and plan review fees cover both the plan review and the inspections, and Gresham bills us for those. So we try to keep up with their rate schedule so that we're trying to collect what we're paying out for the building part. The overall increase was about 5%. I will note there were 2 typos in there. So there were 2 fees that one was an inspection. It was supposed to go from 175 to 184. There was an extra digit. We've corrected that. And then replacing the water supply was supposed to go from 36 to 38. And that also had an extra digit, which has since been fixed. So this is just kind of our timeline. So right now, we're at if you choose to pass it, the resolution of the new fee schedule, then we'll give that to our building official, Sean Blair with Gresham, and he is the one that actually submits it to Building Codes Division. And then, like I said, they have a 45-day review period. And then we're intending to have the ordinance at the June 9th meeting with the rates effective July 10th. Any questions?
Questions by the council? Counselor Minor, any questions? Okay.
No questions here. Thank you.
All right, hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve Resolution 4-2026, resolution updating the building fee schedule and
Okay, I copied that from Seth, so don't blame me.
submitting
Go with
to the state's Building Codes Division.
I'll submit.
I second.
First and second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution carries. All right, we'll move on to Resolution 5-2026, wetland update.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilors, I still take the cake for the best typo of all time. Councilor Smith remembers, and we don't need to share what it was.
Oh, man.
I think everybody knows what it
You
was.
should have said anything then.
Well,
Caring scared.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, humor us.
actually, it was for the Easter event, 15
Exactly.
years ago.
Exactly.
And at the time, Gentle Dental was newer to our community. We reached out. They donated like a tooth hygiene kit, so toothbrushes, toothpaste, floss for kids. A lot of candy. It made sense. And in my lovely presentation highlighting all of our great supporters, I didn't copy their logo. I thought I wrote Gentle Dental. I didn't write gentle. Maybe I'll just leave it there. It was spelled correctly, though.
Genital dental.
I got it back.
Yeah. So very few typos can ever outdo me. But now I need them.
On TV and, which is.
Things are clear.
There we go. Yeah.
Sure we have that somewhere.
It's not. Okay, hold on a second, because it's not. Councilor Minor, what are you seeing on your screen? Are you seeing a presentation or just a blank screen?
I think there's a thing on the top says my screen.
I'm showing resolution 5-2026.
Okay, there we go.
Eh.
I don't know what you did, Becky, but I'm confused. Okay, let's try this my way.
Gentle Dental got you confused.
Yeah, I'm distracted. I want the presentation.
Okay. So this is Resolution 5-2026, doing basically an amendment to our wetland design bid award contract. And because this would go over the $75,000 allotment that I can approve, it goes to you all. We touched on this at our meeting last time, but I want to give it just a quick background and the work we're doing and some next steps. So again, around 2020, the city purchased 4.5 acres from the Confederate Tribes of Grand Ronde at the corner of Wood Village Boulevard and Narada for the purposes of a future wetland park. At that time, we completed a delineation report with the state and also a development plan for that new park. Through that planning, it was found the initial cost estimates to be around $1 million. And so we went after grant opportunities. And we have since received over $660,000, mostly from Metro, but a couple other grants for the finishing the design and build out of this new park. So again, this is the location here. So if you look at the Grand Ronde's whole site, it's just about half of that big green space that's on the corner there, not the full green space, but about half. And this was the design that had come up with back in 2020. Fairly simple kind of half moon feature, but a lot of new plantings. Basically, everything that was there would be removed and all new plantings replaced. And we even worked this fall time in updating that plant list to have more like native species and things that were more meaningful to our indigenous communities. However, in trying to work through the state permitting process, because this is a wetland, you have to go through the state, DSL, Army Corps to get all the permits to do the work in a protected wetland. And they said, your delineation is out of date. Cool, update the delineation report. Now then, in attempting to do the permitting, which that's also still in state review, it's still pending their review, so they haven't even looked at it yet. But in looking at permitting the project, the consultant at the time said, there's a lot of questions in these plans that weren't easily answered in the permitting process. What are the footings? What are some of the details? And the plans that we had pretty much said contractor to do or city to do. It wasn't specific in the plans. And that was an approach that worked for us, some time ago. There was a number of contractors kind of built to suit and can figure it out. Our latest history the past several years, that hasn't worked out well. Either led to very high bids, no bids, high bids with high change orders. And so we're like, these question marks don't make sense anymore. Let's hire a firm to create buildable plans. And so in November, we hired Herrera, who were very excited to work on this project. And they've been reworking the full plan, including the new trail systems. We kind of showed you that last week. I got another photo of it again. The access points and again, the plants. When they did a couple site visits and said, there's some really good existing plants here that with a bit of cleanup would be a great part of this wetland, including cattails, some of the trees. I forget some of the other plants, but there was groves or clusters, some significant plants that they're planning to keep, which is also, I think, great for habitat restoration, but also it's going to lower the cost because they're not grubbing everything. Now, through this updated work, when they were talking with their teams, they helped build a lot of wetland park type projects. They've seen structural components have very long lead times, and they suggested we work on that now before construction to both reduce construction delays and potentially even reduce construction costs. So to do the structural components, you need the geotech work. And so I mentioned it a couple meetings ago that they bid that out, and the geotech alone was like $48,000, and we all agreed that was not going to work. But there's still their working plan they're working with, but you can see a lot more trail connections, trail systems from that initial just half moon. So still has access points on Wood Village Boulevard and Arata, but also a new one here. Boardwalk section. So it's these kind of elevated crossings, the boardwalk and what they call a burrito path, because it allows water to filter through it. Those are what needs kind of the structural and additional geotechnical work. In addition to those pieces, Herrera offered to provide construction management services, including managing the entire 1200C compliance process. That's a DEQ permit when you grade more than 1 acre of land or work in more than 1 acre of land. It's a state process and with a lot more regulations. So they would help during the bidding process, bid evaluation process, and then during construction, making sure the contractor is performing as they should. So all of that was almost $59,000, which is much less than the 78, I think it was when they first proposed it, because geotech came down significantly with a new firm. That would bring their total contract to $132,778. In the motion, I put a do not exceed of $140,000, just in case, mostly during the construction process, if there's some other things that come up, there's that room to work with it and not have to go back to you all. So again, the delineation is still in state review, and that will be some time. We have a meeting with Herrera tomorrow to give an update on this contract change, but also I think we're near close to the design portion of it being completed. Then it'll move into that structural geotechnical component to put it all together. We can send that for permitting. So then once the state approves the permit, we can then bid the project for a year from now kind of construction timeline. So with that, what questions do you have? And there is a suggested motion.
Questions, comments by the council?
So I'm looking at this, the majority of that 58,000 is going toward the construction services
Mhm.
and the structural.
Yeah. Yeah, they were quite concerned with recent projects they've done with the structural component. I mean, we call them bridges because they look like little bridges, technical terms, elevated crossings. But I guess those have been a problem for a lot of projects lately.
And before we didn't factor those in, or it was more of like a kind of a generic.
It was generic and yeah, go build something. And we didn't really realize that till the state permit has some very specific questions. And we're like, this just says contract to provide specifics or third party to provide specifics, which again has worked for us in the past. We've done some projects like that, especially like in the park or things. But lately that has not worked out well for us in terms of getting good bids. One thing Herrera did say is in kind of their latest experience and with kind of the updated planting plan, they feel we actually can maybe even be under $1 million for a bid. And so even doing some of this, yeah, design work's going up, but that'll probably make it for a better, more competitive bid as well.
And just to also clarify, the prior design work was very apparently high level, and what did they say, about 30% of what you would actually want for a bid set package?
And we were always on the assumption it was probably not a full 100, but maybe like an 80 or 90, and it wasn't that. The plus side of that is I think we paid sub 30,000 for it, but that was still, it was very disappointing to understand like, oh, this isn't good to build. And I think we all really like this much better than that.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it creates more interest, internal networks, additional connection point. So making some lemonade here.
Counselor Minor, do you have any questions?
Well, I support the moving forward with this plan and sticking with Herrera. Where is Herrera based, Greg?
Portlandy area, I think.
They're pretty local. They've been out here a few times on site.
Yeah, they tend to do like Pacific Northwest projects. I know they've done some recent ones in Washington, kind of near the Longview area, I think, or Battleground. But no, they're called Portland Metro based.
Okay.
And they've been physically on site a couple times.
Yes.
Does this
Thank you.
bidding include lighting and safety concerns and stuff?
No lighting is proposed. Oh, let me rephrase that. No internal lighting to the park is proposed other than just the existing streetlights that are on the perimeter. Again, I think the idea would be it's dawn to dusk type of facility, much like this park is. We understand that maybe there's some more evening activities in the front end where it's active recreation than the trail network on the back end. Certainly, I think once built and once being used, we can evaluate how it's being used. Are there abuses, other public safety concerns? But given that it's both a wetland, it's harder to put hard infrastructure in, as well as keeping, the nature in it, animal habitats and whatnot.
Think of safety concerns.
Yeah.
One thing we did explicitly work on other trail systems exceeding, ADA widths and making them extra wide. So even if it's daytime and people are walking, there's plenty, you're not going to have tight sections even on the boardwalks. I think we went with 8 foot for the boardwalks or 9 foot.
It's 8 foot width for the majority of it. Some of the offside trails will be more like 6.
But the boardwalk specifically, so you don't have to feel trapped or anything, that we made sure Herrera said you can have a bit of savings to make them narrower. Just that the bit of savings wasn't worth, the experience is what staff felt. We were also thinking not just even ADA, but if you have families, strollers and things, having just plenty of room to maneuver around.
Any further questions?
Just one
I know-
clarification. Yeah, just clarification. I know this bid does not probably include signage. And as we move forward, that it would be an additional cost. Is that correct?
Correct, but we have, I think, a lot more options for signage. The plan is kind of outlining where signage could go, and we have a general idea of what, to say type, how it's laid out, whether it's more vertical, horizontal, or tilted, or gateway elements, but the actual design of those we don't have yet. But again, with those pieces, there's a lot more flexibility, whether it's through pre-manufactured that we just do the sign itself, the verbiage and photos, or if we want to do something a little more custom.
Thanks.
I think just kind of through the experience with the restroom, having a little bit detailed information helps out a lot at the initial piece than later on. So I think, it's just one of those things of just doing the due diligence of ensuring we
Kind of lessons learned with more
Yeah.
recent projects that has changed over, I'll just say the decade from past projects where there had been contractors and things willing to kind of site fit.
Mhm.
And that just doesn't seem to be the case anymore.
Without any more questions, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve Resolution 5-2026, updating the contract with Herrera for the wetland park design to include structural, geotechnical, and bidding construction support not to exceed $140,000.
Second it.
First and second, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Nope, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Right. That's good. That's been a project that's been in the work for some time now, so hopefully we can get that going soon.
Yeah, I mean, again, really happy with the updated design, this firm, like all of it's really good. And I think we'll end up with a really good end product. It's also just been,
I don't think you're shared.
thought I was. Councilor Minor, what are you seeing on your screen?
Mountain Hood dissolution update.
Okay. Yeah, because I just went directly how you did it last time.
All right, we'll go ahead and move.
So let's go right into it. So this is an update on the dissolution of the Mount Hood Cable Regulatory Commission. So really quick background, the MHCRC was formed in late 1992 amongst the 5 area cities and Multnomah County to collectively manage and oversee cable franchise agreements. At that time, cable was booming, new technology, and there was a big push for kind of public benefits along with that. So the MHCRC not only managed and negotiated the cable franchise agreements with each provider at the time, they advocated and managed the enhanced public benefits, whether it was the public education channels, infrastructure, technology grants, also advocacy and policy work. However, as we've all seen over the past decade plus, cable subscriptions are just plummeting as technology has changed. And in 2024, the MHR went through about an 18-month process to say, what's our future? The conclusion of that was probably you can either completely reinvent yourself or dissolve because there's no real place for how you exist today. At that same time, the city of Gresham, under the 1992 agreement with MHRC, activated its "we're leaving" clause. That essentially then had the MHRC board said, we'll vote to then dissolve by June 30, 2026. Gresham then rescinded its resolution so it could be more of a cohesive collective process. So with the dissolution of the MHRC, there's some pieces that need cleaned up and wrapped up. One of those is right now there are technology grants that are out and about, and they will be for the next 3 years as those entities have time to procure things, do the reports, et cetera, and how the money was basically pooled from all the entities and then distributed. There's no clean or easy way for, oh, Wood Village, we'll just track our proportion of the dollars to the grants reported out. It was basically a big pot of commingled monies. And Portland has put out a draft IGA to close out those grants. Not the biggest deal for us as Wood Village because for the 3-year toll, it's not even $8,300. It's just over $2,000 a year. However, the annual cost is $436, increasing 3% a year, despite every year more and more grants come off. That 436 is more than they spend right now on grant administration. So there's been some back and forth of how is this? How you come to these numbers? Because this doesn't feel right. At the same time, our stake in it isn't much. So if it comes down, we wouldn't see a lot of savings anyway. A concern I do have is the draft IGA does have language about if one of the other entities doesn't pay Portland, because Portland structured it for quarterly payments, I would just prefer just pay them once and be done. But if someone doesn't make one of those quarterly payments, City of Portland say, we're done. And cities figure it out or make up the difference. And that to me doesn't feel right. If all the other cities paid their share, it should be that then that other entity being gone after by Portland to get the money. We do have a meeting with Portland and the other entities next Monday to hopefully refine some of these components. Gresham kind of has the biggest stake in this of like the non-Portland cities, and they've been quiet, at least, amongst the group about it. So I'm not sure where they're at, but the hope was Gresham would kind of take a lead on advocating for some of these things because their annual payments are over $100,000 a year. The other piece, so MHRC dissolves, great, trying to make a plan to close out the grants appropriately, but that IGA doesn't cover franchise oversight, the PEG fee management, and how the funds distribute to the technology centers. It doesn't make a lot of sense for any one city to do it itself, especially not us, because again, our total cable franchise revenue amount is less than $20,000 a year. We net maybe $5 currently. So trying to manage all that doesn't make a lot of sense versus paying another partner entity to just manage it. And that's where the 3 cities in Multnomah County got together to basically do the fee collection and distribution and the grant management side of it. Troutdale said they don't want to pay another entity to do it, so they're going to do it anyway. So they're going to allow Fairview, us, the county to partner in on that. So they'll take care of collecting all the franchise fees, doing the proper distribution, sending the appropriate share to Metro East, and following up on all the reporting requirements. What it won't cover is basically like the franchise management, which is, if there are cable customer concerns or right-of-way issues or permits, which that's fine currently. The MHRC doesn't get a lot of cable-related complaints. Complaints related to what people may think is cable, but it's actually technically, their internet service. So that exists today. So we'll handle any kind of cable-related complaints, and we already do the right-of-way work. So the goal is to have both IGAs done and brought forth to May or your first June meeting, so everyone knows what to expect come the end of June. There's also been some discussion with Metro East, or maybe not discussion with Metro East, but there'll need to be new agreement with Metro East on that revenue sharing portion. Troutdale's working on that since they'd be the entity doing the pass-through. And I think we just want some I don't want to say clarity, but maybe clarity, specificity on just the services they provide to the participating partners. Obviously, they're here right now. They do a wonderful job with our meetings and broadcasting, special projects. There's also been a growing thing around technology camps and recreation, and just kind of formalizing some of those other things a little bit more would, I think, be of a benefit, but kind of an offshoot conversation, because Troutdale is going to be in agreement with Troutdale, so I'm confident we'll all partner with that together, because there's, I think, a collective interest in just better understanding what Metro East does and what they're planning to do, and I think that just everyone benefits from some clarity. So just a quick update. I don't know if you've been hearing things about what's going on, but I just want to let you know what's going on and kind of what to expect in the month or two ahead. So questions?
Questions, comments by the council? I mean, I know this has been something we've had conversations even with our representative on the MHCRC of, we kind of saw this coming. And I think for us, a piece of it was, at least being aware of the benefit of Metro East. And so
Yes.
figuring out a piece of kind of insurance for them per se, that wouldn't really dismantle the whole organization that has done tremendous work out here, especially more lately and in the summertime. So just figuring out that piece.
Yeah, because I think those of us who have gone to their location see what they do and see how they're adapting to new technologies and building in space. It's no longer just like film studio space. There's podcast space, vlog space. I mean, all sorts of new things. And so, yeah, I think just, again, just that clarity, that education, here's what they're doing.
Mhm.
And this is kind of how they're supporting our communities. Because I think for a lot of people, they didn't realize they did more than just televised government
Yeah.
meetings.
I don't think
And they do a lot more than that.
They do a lot more. Counselor Minor, any questions, comments?
No questions.
All right, we'll go ahead and move on and do discussion Grand Ron meeting recap.
Thank you. I knew I had one more. There it is. Okay, this was not in your packet because we just had a meeting with them yesterday. So couldn't go back in time, but want to give a quick update on the staff-to-staff meetings we've been having with the Confederate Tribes of Grand Ronde on their Wood Village site. So again, just to recap everyone, it's the former Greyhound Park site. It's approximately 27 acres zoned in the town center. The city worked with the owner of the town center at the time, as well as the Grand Ronde, to put together updated zoning development code, high-level master plan, and what we call a concept regulatory diagram for that space. That was in 2017. Basically, it's focused on mixed use with an entertainment focus. In 2020, the Grand Ronde was doing an effort to put the site into federal trust for the purposes of gaming or casino. And we learned about, I'll say a year-ish ago, might have been a little over a year ago, they are no longer pursuing that option and are moving towards more, I'll call it traditional economic development opportunities, non-gaming. So again, this is the site. I think everyone knows it. This is the concept regulatory diagram, probably not seen by many of you in a while. But what it did do is for the whole town center outline the main street sections, future plazas, future potential connections, gateways, intersections, etc. This is development code that was done. It was pretty unique, I think, in terms of all cities, but certainly for us, how it works. It was purposely built in with a lot of flexibility in that when an applicant comes in, if they matched this up with, there's adjustments a little bit here and there, but if it matched up, a master plan could be approved administratively. Now, if they wanted to move things more substantially or remove them, then it would go through more of a formal process or traditional process with the planning commission. But it had the whole range of, you follow this, you're pretty much entitled to, if you want to make a lot of changes, you go through that process. So recent meetings, and by recent, kind of the past 6 or so months, Grand Ronde's focus on redevelopment options, how that could be phased, what the process is. They internally did an update to their highest and best use analysis. Not surprising, that analysis showed that they could make a lot of money if they either built housing or sold a site for housing. It also showed there's potential for some commercial, which is nice. There's also a potential still for some kind of either hotel with some conference convention center space and or kind of, I'll call it family entertainment. Now, whether that's arcade, bowling, I mean, kind of that spectrum of non-gaming entertainment. The city has an interest, and we've all been involved in those conversations for a site for a future fire station. We'd also, even through the process back in 2017, the community, can there be an opportunity for a community center, some kind of community facility, community space? And so that remains an interest. And we had that discussion with Urban Renewal back in late January with you all in Urban Renewal. What could we do with this? So staff met in Grand Ronde just yesterday with their development team, and they're going to focus on actually putting together the master plan for the site, and that includes where individual lots will be. So, currently right now it's one parcel. through this process, you could divide it up in multiple different parcels, whether they're going to ground lease some of those, build to suit. There's also potential they may sell some of them, mostly the eastern portion for residential. Now, again, it's a potential. They're not decided yet. But it would lay out kind of those new lots, the roadways, utilities, and what the uses will be. This area is commercial, this area is residential. What does that mean? Grand Ron's done a number of master plans through their portfolio of projects and their, six-figure kind of works. And so they asked us, would there be any interest or potential to cost share some of that master plan work? Our response was probably, but we, understanding specifics, how much for how much. But I did mention there is city interest in at least helping with the utility planning of it, because we have an interest in looping some of our lower system. Not only benefits their site, benefits our water system as well. So I think there's a lot of opportunities to share in some cost, especially where it's mutually beneficial. They also asked if there's any kind of program that could waive property taxes while they're doing their master planning process. The programs we're aware of didn't really fit this, but we did talk about, well, maybe, and we'll have more discussions at your meeting in May about leasing or holding to lease maybe a couple of sites and how we can maybe cost share some things that could go towards holding some sites as we explore our fire station, community center, et cetera. We did learn the Grand Ron pays out $116,000 a year in property taxes on that site. So we understand that, yeah, if you don't have to pay that for a year or two, that paid for your master plan. Obviously, not all of that money comes to us. The bulk of it doesn't come to us, but could we take the city equivalent and put it towards this master planning effort is kind of what we were thinking about. So for timelines, basically our staff, their staff will work kind of now through the summer and doing pre-master plan work. So again, kind of already outlining what we think utilities are, roadways, plaza spaces, what that process may be. They then put together an RFP, release it Q4, because they're on a calendar year fiscal year. So the goal is come January, they can make the bid award and start in January to do the master plan. And because of all the pre-work, it'd be kind of an expedited process. They also would love to do a council-to-council gathering on site, their site here in Wood Village this summertime. Now, what does that mean? We all know vacations, they do a big powwow in August. So we say summer, it might be September. But we'll just call it summer in the global sense. So again, they'll do the master plan work starting in January because again, they really want to parcel that out. Once it gets parceled out, take it to the investment banking people, kind of get their thoughts, what returns could be. There's also the potential, and we told them this, we're going to apply again to be part of the opportunity zone. So this site is part of that. What an opportunity zone is, it's a federal program that essentially allows investors to switch investment instruments and avoid capital gains. So you could take money from, I'll just say the stock market, and put it into a qualifying development project, not pay capital gains on what you gain from the stock market. And depending on how long you hold that development project for, you could actually not pay any capital gains at all. So it's really an advantageous kind of unique program to switch investment instruments without necessarily paying gains on that switch. So they were very interested in that as well. They would also love to have you all come visit them in Grand Ron and do, I think I'll just call it a community tour. And I mean, some of you have been there several times, some none at all. They really want everyone to understand where their investment dollars go towards, the programs, the wellness center, education center, elder housing, elder services. I think those of us who have been with the Grand Ron for a while understand that, and they just want to, in our conversations yesterday, they say a lot of people don't understand what we do. They said clearly Wood Village does, and just really want to reinforce that with all the council members. So, look for that probably later. And then in a perfect world, a master plan would be adopted maybe a year-ish from now. Again, it kind of depends how long it takes to do that master plan. And then once it's approved, they really want to hit the ground running and get it going with phase one, which would either be, again, maybe selling off a parcel or two on the east side for residential and then developing commercial on the 223rd site, kind of holding, I'll just go back here. This middle section, I think needs more work of, can that be a hotel? What does that look like? Could that be non-gaming entertainment? What does that look like? But certainly they know this area over here is really hot for residential. This area is really hot for commercial. And so they know that could be like a good phase one, get returns back on their investment while they explore options for that center section. And again, planning on having an executive session at your next May meeting to talk about, call it the Wood Village opportunities, both the fire station and maybe the opportunity for a community rec center, and what we can, how can work with them on like it's not a purchase offer option, but a lease offer option, I guess, and kind of holding some sites in reserve through this master planning process to give us time to figure out how much, what's possible. I'm also meeting tomorrow with an individual from Metro that works in public-private partnerships. I think they call it, what's the technical name? Like partnership opportunities or something, but really looking at some of those public-private partnerships that have been instrumental in building some unique public facilities at a reasonable rate for the public entity. So trying to make some stuff happen. And with that, any questions, comments, concerns?
Exciting.
It is exciting. And I think they're really excited, and they really, really do appreciate all of you and the work you've done with them and understanding their culture, their history, and what they're trying to do for all their tribal members.
They really have put their Grand Ronde thing together. Their architecture, they're taking care of their people, their schooling for the kids. You know, they have it together.
Yeah, I mean, they have a lot of programs. I'm inclusive. I mean, if, you know, one of their members graduates high school and goes off to college, they pay for college. I mean, it's huge. Healthcare is huge. We even said, like, we love you as a developer because you're so thoughtful, so intentional. We'd love it if you developed all of it. We also understand if you need to sell off a portion of it, but we said you're just so intentional and community focused that aligns with our values. And they said likewise. They said you all are community focused. So it was a fun meeting. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah,
But
no.
they like us, so we like them.
Anytime we get an opportunity to go, you know, I encourage you all to take some time to go visit their amazing programs, as Greg mentioned, because they are very intentional for their community, but as well understand what role they play in the broader sense of the community. So I think, you know, this is a huge step for us, as even though nothing's done yet, but I think this is really the most that has come up from this space in 20 plus years. So I mean, it's exciting.
And we did share with them our new 75th anniversary pin. So they all got new
amazing.
pins too.
Great. Councilor Minor,
do
any
have a
comments,
question.
questions?
Yeah. Greg, they've done extensive traffic studies and spent a lot of money on that.
Yes.
How would those traffic studies now interact with the adjustments of high density?
So that's
And
something
what
we
they're
talked with
thinking
them
about
about
now.
yesterday, something that still needs worked on between, I'll call it us, the Grand Ronde, and County Transportation, because County Transportation for a while now has wanted to revisit the longstanding agreement that was put in place with the original redevelopment of the town center that basically allocated a certain number of trips for the entire site, so not just the Greyhound Park, but the full town center. And as every new development went in, it had its traffic count and reduced from that amount. There's somewhere around, is it 700 traffic counts? Between 500 and 700 traffic counts remaining for the entire town center. And the county has wanted to revisit that for a while now. And we're a little hesitant to do that because, one, the original developer put in real improvements to the area infrastructure and real money to the county to do future improvements. And we don't want the Grand Ronde, kind of last to the party to develop, to have to take the lion's share of substantial improvements. When I talked with County Transportation about that, they weren't so much concerned about the major intersections, but more like Wood Village Boulevard per se, and like what may be needed over there. And talking with the Grand Ronde, the biggest intersection of issue is actually 223rd at Halsey, which is a well-known issue. It's very constrained and no real good opportunities to do anything about it. It may also be advantageous to relook at it because big box development, like, Lowe's, Kohl's, they're not developing the traffic that they used to when they first went in. It's not that they're still not successful, but just the way people are shopping is different. And so it may actually unlock additional traffic trips. It may not, we don't know. But at the very least, the county said we'd want a traffic impact statement from the Grand Ronde, which would be part of the master plan process as you're kind of putting together your blocks of this is residential at maybe this type of density, this type of commercial at this density. You can generate rough traffic numbers from that, and we can go from there. But we told the Grand Ronde would be big advocates to, push the county of there's already been a lot of investment made from the town center originally. This needs to be portioned in the spirit of the full center, not just this one singular development.
And it's also kind of interesting that the county's proposing this, especially on Wood Village Boulevard, when we've already expressed a lot of concerns on there and that they aren't willing to
Do anything about
reconsider
it?
or do anything about, so.
Yeah.
Well, I don't understand everything that that you're talking to the county about, but definitely whatever impact might be the whatever the impact may be by some redesign, I think we have to watch that very carefully on Wood Village Boulevard or intersections on even Halsey and Wood Village Boulevard.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. The other thing is that you've said that, and I just want to reinforce this, is to make sure that as we move forward here, that we do try to come out of any agreements with some at least potential for a fire station, and as we've talked before, a recreation center that we might be able to utilize. So those are the things that I would say, again, based on what you've just reported.
Yeah, and we did recap the conversation we had with you all in urban renewal about this is the catalyst site. And, they're for Wood Village, big investment, we get it. That money in the grand scheme of things doesn't go as far as it used to, but it's still real money and certainly real money for us in our community. And the goal would be to leverage that with, state dollars, maybe some of their dollars, and really turn our 6 and change million to, can we make it 15 kind of for this site? Because we're going to get a community center. We can work with the county on preschool for all, and great, we built the classroom space. They'll back it with a guarantee to fill it. So now we have the revenue to pay the lease on that. Those kind of partnerships and programming, but it just takes a while to put all the pieces together. But the Grand Ronde seems very willing to work with us and wait to put some of those pieces together. See if and when we can do it.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. I mean, just let's keep thinking broadly about this piece of property, because there's not pieces of property like this left in East County.
No, and the Grand Ronde is very well of that as well. I mean, we said in a perfect world, it benefits Wood Village and benefits the community of the Grand Ronde. So, and that's our collective goal. It benefits everybody.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Greg, for the update, and it's exciting news on that end there. We'll go ahead and move the city attorney report. Good evening.
Good evening, Council. Nice to see you all. I don't have any specific items to report. I know last time I spoke with you, I teased a legislative update. And believe it or not, the dust has not settled on all of the bills that I think would be of interest to the council. So in the next couple of days, we should know for sure what has passed and what has been potentially vetoed. So I would propose doing that at a later meeting so that we can have some certainty about what laws actually did get passed. But other than that, I don't have anything to share tonight.
Well, thank you. And yes, we would really appreciate that once everything is settled to get a better understanding what's going to happen in this next fiscal year. So, all right, we'll go ahead and move the mayor council comments. Comments by the council. We have our budget meeting next
Budget
week.
meeting next Tuesday. We've decided on pizza and salad because we had a couple people want some veggie options. So we thought, well, pizza and salad goes together. That works. We did hold a meeting with the budget committee members last Thursday to go over the 5-year projection and those types of things, kind of major projects coming up. It was very well received. Good questions asked about, again, mostly fire and public safety and all of that. So it should make for a really good meeting next Tuesday, 5:45. The other thing just really quick is we had our East County Fire Task Force meeting last Thursday. We were supposed to have a proposal from District 10. They're not quite ready yet, so that'll be in May. So I'm planning an actually bigger presentation at your first May meeting, kind of just where we're at and where we hope to go. It seems like us and Gresham are on the forefront of keeping our council and communities kind of updated and informed. So, I mean, I think where I'll leave that. I think we're doing good works, and we know there's a lot more works to be done. But we'll see.
Yes. And we don't have a second April meeting.
That is correct.
So our
But we
next
do have
meeting-
budget, so it's still 2 meetings in April, but
So our next meeting will be May 12th, I believe.
yes, May 12th.
May 12th. And I'll just put this out there now, remind you again on May 12th, but the Play East fundraising celebration is May 14th, 6 p.m. at the Fairview Food Plaza.
Fork.
Yes, it is open to the public and all are welcome to come. There'll be food and some presentations and raffle items as well.
And that's why we pushed EcoFast from the 14th to the 7th.
I appreciate it.
All our sponsors get invitations.
They will get all the invitations, so we're working on that. So without anything else, Counselor Minor, any last words?
Any last words?
Nothing here.
Awesome. Well, we're adjourned. Everyone have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.